course, our chief political correspondent, Carl Cameron, who is dressed, as you can see, very nicely tonight in the same combination that I chose. Way to go, Carl. There was no memo, I assure you, folks. That struck me as John McCain hit on some things that did seem to be likely areas that he will delve into. Let me ask you a different question, though, Carl. Was this John McCain at his oratorical best, just in terms of the style of the delivery?
You know, it's funny. No matter what you asked, Britt, I was going to talk about that. John McCain has not been doing primetime speeches on election nights now for the better part of 2 months. He's been running solo in the Republican Party for a long time and hasn't had the national audience or taken the opportunity to reach it with any kind of speeches. So folks are going to naturally be sort of comparing his style to Barack Obama's, and he's just not as glitzy. Senator McCain's working off a teleprompter. He often stumbles with it. Occasionally you'll see what looks to be sometimes an awkward smile as he tries to sort of connect with the audience, but it sometimes feels a little bit off. He recognizes that. The campaign recognizes it. Folks in the audience recognize it. And yet this is John McCain. He has always been this way. He's not a particularly strong orator. He believes that it's much more important that he just simply kind of communicate the core convictions. That's what you heard tonight. He worked very hard in this speech, as he has on the trail for some time now, to distance himself from President Bush. The very selection of New Orleans, where he could talk about Katrina and the failure of the administration to deal with it, was meant to show that he recognizes that government can in many ways be broken, and he thinks he can fix it. He fancies himself a major reformer, and he points to things like campaign finance reform, opposing the Bush tax cuts at the outset, trying to cut pork barrel spending and slow the growth of government, all as examples of the ways he has bucked the ways of Washington. That's a big emphasis. It's one he intends to continue to go after. And tonight was also about trying to sort of set the choice between himself and Obama, and he didn't pull any punches. McCain insists he's going to run a respectful campaign. That does not mean he will not throw tough punches where he thinks he's on point and factual. His characterization tonight of Obama as a liberal being a perfect example of that.
Carl, when was the decision made to do this speech? I mean, it seems from a political...
I think this may be the last time you ever have to call it anything, Brett, so bear with us. We have been following along, of course, listening to John McCain's speech. We also were given excerpts of it beforehand. And I have to say, sometimes when you're reading the speech along, the speech reads better than it sounds. Sometimes it sounds better than it reads. I think we would agree this is a speech that was better on the printed page than it was coming from John McCain's mouth.
Yeah, content better than delivery tonight, but not a workmanlike delivery by McCain.
Let me ask you, because, I mean, some people have said he's not the most galvanizing, obviously a great story, a distinguished senator, a lot of big differences, sizable differences with Obama, but not necessarily the best stump campaigner. Can you make somebody a better campaigner?
Well, he's very good in these town hall meetings where he feels more fluid and more comfortable and relates better to people, and he's a good debater. So we'll see if Obama's better talents at delivering the set piece speech, particularly off of a teleprompter, gives him an advantage over the guy who's better in town hall meetings and pretty good in debates.
Now, Britt was talking with Carl Cameron about the decision to have the speech in New Orleans. Yeah. You were a little surprised.
Can I just say a word about the McCain speech?
Yes,
first. I mean, the McCain campaign told me off the record a couple of weeks ago they were planning to go to New Orleans, try to get in the story here on Obama's victory night, get some attention, frame the race between themselves and Obama, and make a speech in which they recaptured the reform agenda that McCain had so strongly in 2000 and sort of let slip away a little bit in this campaign. And it seemed like a good idea to me. I've got to say, however, watching that speech, I don't think it was a successful speech by Senator McCain. And I think he came off as just sniping at Obama. There wasn't enough of a... I mean, this was his chance to talk to some pretty substantial number of people, lay out an alternative narrative, do the contrast. But that's not change we can believe in. Why take Obama's own slogan and just sort of say no? You know, it seems like you'd want to develop your own theme a little more. Obama will criticize McCain some, but I think Obama's speech on the whole is more positive, frankly. And I don't think McCain's going to win this. Maybe this was a hopeless night for McCain to really match up with Obama. Maybe he shouldn't have tried in the first place.
I'm not a crook.